Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with veteran jazz guitarist Heather McKay. We caught up with her about her new and debut 2025 CD, Life Got in the Way, and a long ride in the world of music. Over her 25-plus year career, she has performed with artists in a variety of styles, from Latin jazz to rock, rhythm and blues to Afro-Caribbean, even Persian music and beyond. Now that she found the time, she has made the most of it, leading an agile sextet through a largely pleasing number of original themes on this debut album after all this time. It's a great story. Enjoy this interview. I've really enjoyed the new album.
Away.
It's so good to meet you. Thank you so much. For context, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So
Okay.
got a little.
I have not been to Missouri. I've
Okay.
seen, but it looks beautiful. Isn't Ozarks filmed there?
Yeah, I believe so. But yeah, it's definitely the backdrop. They either got good B-roll or it's happening.
Yeah.
So, well, it's great to connect. I want to begin our conversation before we get into the new album by asking you this. Speaking of the world being goofy, 5 years ago, this pandemic changed so many things, and especially for musicians. How did you make it through that era, and how did it influence the way that you create and do things today?
Well, I mean, I also work on a nonprofit so I was a little bit nervous that too was not going to do well. As you know, all of the gigs fell apart and all that fun stuff. So I was very happy that they actually made it through COVID with not too bad of an interruption, so that at least kept me going, financially. But what I did with the players that we had is that the bass player Leo and the keyboard player Campbell and I did a lot of the I can't remember the name of that software because they both live in New York. So we did that software where you can play it together, and it's fairly in sync, but it was good enough that we could practice and come up with new ideas, and I would bring in stuff and they would give it a try. But it gave a lot of time for writing, as you know. I've probably heard from everybody, and just kind of a bizarre concept of the world, and go for it. Do what you feel in your heart, and go ahead and write the music that you're feeling, and not worry, so much about what the norms are. And so it was as I said, very bizarre time, and I think opened up a lot of feelings of life is short and life has got to be led, and you got to do what you want to do and what you love.
Yeah.
So it really pushed me to go ahead and do this album and not have any, things that set you back, because I just found through life, you're doing your thing and then you get sidetracked. You've got to learn all these tunes for this gig, or you've got to do this to make a living. And so this time it was like, okay, let's do this. Let's put it together.
So it's an appropriately named album, Life Got in the Way. It's your debut. You've been at this for 25 plus years. So I would imagine that's probably one of the most appropriate names for a debut album.
Well, I kind of was thinking about it, and I kept thinking, what about this it has just taken a long time. And the tunes have completely evolved. I mean, the ones that I wanted to do in the originally have either disappeared or been completely redone and revamped. And so, so many things get in the way. Money, you don't have the money to do it. You've got this. I said, you just joined a new band and got to learn 30 songs, this kind of thing. And it was like, I don't know, it was appropriate. It came to my mind. It's like, my gosh, I've been talking about this for years, writing these things for years, and why did it take so long? And some of it, I think was for the best. I think a lot of the music matured over the years and changed. And so, but it did. It's kind of, life did get in the way.
Yeah, for sure. So take me back to your roots, your beginnings. Where are you from originally?
I was oddly enough born in Texas, but my family only lived there for like a year. And then I lived till I was about 9 or 10 in Louisiana. And then I moved up to DC when I was like in 5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. So I had that kind of Southern, music in my life at a younger years. And then when I came to Washington and got through high school, went up to Berkeley to go to school, went to Berkeley, came back and ended up playing my first band that I joined in DC was Bad Broads of the Blues, and it was a woman that had run that. And in fact, I think Cheryl Bailey was the guitar player before me, which I'm sure you've probably heard of her.
Yeah,
And so it was kind of some scary shoes to fill.
yeah.
But anyway, so I met a bass player there who's from Puerto Rico, and that's where I started, learning a lot about the Latin jazz and the Latin stuff. I was always told to take every gig you can. So from there, I ended up in a Persian band, which was interesting. Was a whole new world, and I learned a lot about 6/8 and various things. So I just joined all kinds of bands that had different music genres, and tried to kind of pull all those influences in. Being from Berkeley, obviously there was jazz influence, but not so much a straight ahead.
Yeah.
I'm really a bit more fascinated with the Brazilian and Latin rhythms and harmonies from jazz, trying to interfuse the two. So
So in the very beginning, you could have picked any instrument. What was it about the guitar, and what was it about music that made you? I mean, was it always a dream of yours to be a professional musician?
since I can remember, I mean, I originally played piano. I played piano for since I was 5,
Okay.
and I think I fell in love with when I was like, I don't know, about that age. My parents took me to like a dinner club to see Tony Bennett. And I remember just being fascinated. It was a big band, and the whole thing. And I was kind of fascinated with that. And just from there on, I always thought, oh, I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to be a musician. But I took piano till forever, really. But I was classically trained. So when I wanted to play the jazz and the rock, it was very difficult for me to get away from that reading of music and playing the. And I found with the guitar, since I started that kind of just as sitting around and learning chords and playing with people, it was a little bit easier to kind of get away from that, being stuck in that. Not I don't want to say stuck because I'm very much in awe of classical players, but I wanted to do the more improvising and chord structures and all, jazz. So it was just so too difficult. I just was so stuck
Yeah. Yeah.
and reading the notes on the page. So guitar, and I loved the sound of it. I loved, everything about it, but that's why I switched over. I still use piano to write and
Sure.
stuff, but it was just so hard.
So who were early influences? Who did you look up to?
I had a variety of stuff. I mean, when I was in, real young kid, it was all the rock things that were, around then. I liked Santana. I liked, Allman Brothers, Derek and the Dominoes, and Joni Mitchell. I mean, it was just all those kind of, which is dating me, which is seeing how old I am. So those probably would have. I was a big Joni Mitchell fan because I thought she was a really nice, good writer, and I loved when she did the stuff with Jacopo Pastorius and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So those were early influences. As I got older, I listened to more Latin stuff, and I also listened to like Scott Henderson because I actually know him through a friend, and he kind of pushed me or showed me the whole fusion world. Yet again, I liked even blues players. I liked Robin Ford. I just, of course, right now my mind's going blank, but I guess just about every, you know, genre of stuff that I could bring in.
Sure.
I kind of lost my thing for pop music when I got older, but it
Yeah.
still has some stuff. It still has some nice, interesting things that you can add.
Yeah, for sure. So, what was the first live show you saw that blew you away that made you think maybe I would love to be up there one day doing that?
Well, as I said, when I was like really young, I saw Tony Bennett, but that was kind of like that first, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Um, I saw a lot of great things. I saw the band way back when. I saw
Wow.
Bob Dylan. I saw Grateful Dead way back when they were, Jerry Garcia was around, and um, I saw Santana. Uh, I saw Joni Mitchell with Miles of Isles, that tour. Um, uh, all of them, I was just like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. And even local people that I knew, going to see friends that were, starting to play, and you were like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So
I saw Bob Dylan in the 90s. And, at that point, it was just the whole legend and lore was so big, you just wanted to see it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
when you saw him, what was he like? How did he what kind of show did he put on?
Well, he was actually with the band. You remember that band, but it was so the band behind him was fun anyway. It was a good band. I guess when thinking back, which is odd, the most thing I remember is his silhouette when the lights went on.
Yeah.
Because it was such a his image was such a, as you were saying, iconic thing. But he did well. I mean, as I said, he had a very good band behind him. They were very good. They did well.
Yeah.
Later on, I don't know how I haven't seen him in years. That must have been like, when did he tour with the band? It might have been in the 90s
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that he
Yeah.
did that. Um, I was always a fan of that band anyway, the band.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought they were a fun and inventive type band.
Was that with Time Out of Mind and all of that was going on then?
Geez, I can't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
seems like I remember that era, and he won some Grammys and
yeah,
kind of got back on the radar, and he did
I
have
think you're
really
right.
talented people behind him. Um,
Yeah.
so, so have you always kind of had this hybrid of existence of a day job with music? Has that kind of been a part of what you've done?
No, I pretty much was a musician, period, taught, and that kind of thing until about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I had a student who actually her mother's mother had a nonprofit that was in Africa, and it's putting Maasai girls into school, as opposed to being female genital mutilation and being married off. And
Yeah.
her mother had passed away. We were out to dinner talking, and she said she needed somebody to take over. And I just thought this would be an interesting thing to do, and it not just for that, but it's whenever you go to different countries and you learn from different people, you learn the music, you learn the culture. It all comes back to being a musician, really.
Yeah.
So I did. I took the job. I said I think I could do this job, and so she said, well, let's give it a shot. So it's been a pretty enlightening work, and it does, it has influenced me a lot. The music is I've played in African bands way back, so the music isn't anything particularly new that I hadn't discovered. But it was nice just to go there and just feel that whole, like the Maasai have this dance that they do with these necklaces that bounce, and it's the rhythm there is very cool of just them doing this bopping dance and singing these old songs. So one of the songs, Kenyan Moon, is from an old Maasai song that I heard at one of the workshops. So, it's just everything influenced musicians. And so I figured it was a nice thing. It was a nice change because now I could actually, do a little bit more work on the compositions and not be constantly hustling just to get gigs. And,
Yeah.
I had a little more time to work on writing, which is what I majored in.
Yeah.
So, but it's been very interesting,
So,
and enlightening.
yeah, for sure. So having this debut out, you've been at this for a long time. How relieving? How does this feel on a visceral level that it's out there in the world? You got the album out there. People are talking about it. It's getting radio play. What does this mean for you?
It's kind of surreal because, as I said, I've been trying to do it for a long time. Um, I guess I'm happy that a lot of people that hear it, because it's not a straight ahead jazz thing or a straight ahead rock thing. It's got a lot of different time signatures. It kind of weaves in and out, and it's kind of, I guess I kind of feel like I'm a storyteller a little bit with this stuff, and I wasn't sure how it would go over, and where it would be categorized. So I'm very happy that it seems to be getting, people are liking it, and people are playing it, and so I'm very happy. But it does seem a little surreal after all this time, to finally have it out there, and it just kind of makes me want to, get working on the second one, and get some more gigs doing this. We've started to do more gigs where we're able to just do this music, and move forward with it. So.
So let me ask you this. What do you like the best about being a professional musician? What gets you up every day? What has consistently made you energetic about going for and evolving as a musician?
You know, it's funny because I have to write. I do. I mean, it's like if I don't, I get kind of depressed and writing songs can be frustrating, and you can take a song that you work on forever and ever, and it takes forever to finally get to where you like it. And I guess when I hear that, or I hear a band play it now, it's not just kind of in my head or midied out, and you hear the real players come at it and play it. That to me is just like, I don't know, that just feels wonderful, when you got good players who are interested in it and want to do it, and they're have their ideas and say, oh, wow, this is great. I like this. Maybe just having that feeling of having your music enjoyed and played. That to me is a great feeling. Obviously, I love it if I play a nice solo. I'm like, oh, I listen back. Oh, that was great. Good. I actually played a good solo. I really like. But I think the writing is a little bit more exciting to me, though it's very, very, you get a lot of time of just going, oh, that's awful.
Right.
Let's go back. Let's do this again.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. When you go into this idea of dreaming about being a musician, you have this idea of what your career is going to be like, what the world of music is going to be like, and then it actually happens and there's the reality. What's been the difference between the dream of being a musician and the reality of being a musician?
I guess the amount of work, and when you're a kid and you're seeing these people on stage and they seem to be, just naturally going at it, and they it's just hours and hours and hours of practice, as we all know, and hours of auditioning and blowing an audition, all that, the parts of it that you don't really necessarily know about or see. Going and writing a tune and everybody's like, yeah, you know. So that part of it, I guess, was a surprise to me. Well, not a surprise, but it's harder than you think. You know what I mean? It's not you, but it's harder than people
Sure.
realize when you're thinking about doing this and how much work it is. Um, but kind of got lost in that. Other than that, I guess I guess I didn't realize the feeling when you're up there with a band and it is gelling. It is just really gelling. That's the positive thing I didn't realize how that kind of feels, where you almost feel like you can feel, the heartbeat of another player or something. You guys are just so locked, and it's just really coming across. That to me, I didn't realize how incredible that would feel.
Yeah.
Um, because to me, that's an amazing part of it.
Yeah. Well, I
You
think
know.
sometimes there's this conception by the fans that when people make it big, when musicians make it to that upper echelon, that they just got there. It just happened. But it's
Yeah.
a lot of work. Anything that you do creatively in the world of art takes an extraordinary amount of work that no one will ever realize.
And a lot of money if you don't have somebody, to get to that point where you have somebody backing you. I mean, I don't have anybody backing me. So you end up having to do a lot of things yourself, learning how to make websites, learning, and getting everybody together, which is fun, trying to get the coordinate the schedules. So yeah, I don't think people realize it. And, I think it's because we've a lot of times they'd like to give the illusion, not the bands, but the people promoting necessarily where you see movies now where the kid's singing in this bathroom and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
somebody hears him and that's that,
that's
he's a
it.
multi-million dollar,
Well, it's kind of like one of the dream, and this is something I want to ask you too. One of the dream time machine things that I would love to do is to see Ella Fitzgerald for the first time on the stage of the Apollo.
uh-huh, yeah,
Coming out as the shy little girl, and everybody's like, "Oh no!" And it's already a lion's den. I mean, you're walking in to something that's already hostile, and then this angelic voice comes out and totally transfixes everybody. So it's
yeah.
those kinds of things that can happen. So at the end of so let me ask you this: what show would you go back and see if you could get into a time machine and you could go back and see any show, jazz
Oh
or
my
otherwise?
gosh,
Where are you going?
you got me with this one. Let me see. I yeah, I have to say because you've said it, it's in my mind. Ella Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
maybe the some of the jazz players like Monk or Miles or Herbie Hancock, any of those people back when they were just coming out.
Yeah.
As far as like more of rock thing, I'm trying to think of who I would think of there. I guess I think more of the jazz people,
Yeah.
because they have got the, you as you get older, you see these young players come up who are just come in and they just blow you away, you know, and I think those people would have been very interesting to see that they just haven't I know they worked very hard at it, but I think they also had a very natural
Yeah.
talent for it. So those are a few that I would like to see.
So you've been in different genres of music, but more specifically, since we're kind of in the jazz here at Neon Jazz, why do you love this art form we call jazz?
I love the I guess that's why I liked the Latin rhythm with the jazz. I love the harmonies of jazz. There's so much more. Even when I teach guitar and all the kids want to learn the rock stuff, after I get them kind of to a certain point, it's like, okay, we have to learn some jazz because this is just going to open up a whole new world, for your ears, for your playing. It's just so, I just love the harmony of it, of just being able to just go off to these great places and the dissonance. If you want to put dissonance in there, it's, totally acceptable. And in fact, I love dissonance. I love being able to resolve the dissonance. So I would say the harmonies, the melodies are good too. I love the, jazz melody and the improv. I mean, there's nothing like, being able to play over some changes with some great players. And once you really get the feel of the tune and want to be able to blow over these changes, it's just a great feeling. So I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's why I like the adding the rhythm of the Latin to the harmonies of jazz. To me is just like that was like, oh my gosh, this is heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, everyone that you play with on the bandstand, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, I've always been the kind of second man in charge in a lot of bands through my life. The guitar player who kind of runs the show behind there. The lead person is. So this has been a new thing for me to be in the front, and I've always been kind of shy, and not real demonstrative. So this is one of the things that the job, the 9 to 5 job, whatever you want to call it, helped me with is because I'm the executive director. I have to be, more not pushy, but I have to be in charge and I have to say what I want and I have to move forward. So that was helpful with this. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's like, okay, now I have the confidence to say, okay, this is what I want. And if somebody's arguing with me about this or that, I'll say, yeah, let me hear what you're talking about. Yeah, I like it, but oh, I don't. I want it this way, As opposed to before, I was much more of like, oh, well, he probably or she, he knows better than I, so I'll go with what he says. So I think I don't know that answered the question. I guess it's because
Yeah.
I feel that I'm a little bit better at it. I'm new at being the person in charge, but I think I'm getting the grasp of it. And my good friend and bass player Leo was like, you're getting it. You get it. Just take charge. You go up there. And the biggest thing to me was having to run the gigs. That
Yeah.
was totally different. I'm so used to being the second person. And, they've been going pretty well. It's I think I'm handling it okay. I don't know if I could have done it 15 years ago because I would have been a little bit, oh, well,
Yeah.
I'll let him call the show or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Life has a design, that's for sure. So let me ask you this. At the end of the day, it's your debut album. What do you want the listeners to get from this recording?
Um, I guess, I most of these tunes, a couple of them are not, but a lot of these tunes have a lot of time changes in them. They're not straight 4/4. I guess I feel a lot of people are stuck in things have to be 3/4 or 4/4. I would like them to be able to kind of let go of the time constraint and just like feel the music as opposed to wondering where one is or I guess that, and just enjoy it. I try to tell a story with the songs, and I hope they enjoy it and can in their own minds. Because when I was a kid growing up, I would listen to music. Sometimes lay on a couch, and different music would take me on a different little kind of daydream or whatever. I'd like it to do that kind of thing for people, whatever that daydream may be, to be able to take them somewhere, especially in these crazy times.
Yeah.
Kind of take them somewhere, make them feel a little better, or if they're sad, help them through that. If they're going through a breakup, whatever, just to take you away from the crazy world for a few minutes.
Amen. So if anyone wants to pick up a copy of the album, if they want to catch you live, any of the good business in your world, where do they go?
Well, right now it's being streamed on every platform except for I did not do Spotify, which probably I should have, but it's on every other platform. You can get it. You can go to my website at heathermckaymusic.com, and you can get it there. You can go to YouTube, any place like that. As the gigs, we're kind of winding down the year. I'm trying to start setting up some stuff for 2026. I'm going to be out of the country for a little bit of the end of this year. So hopefully I'll be starting to put some stuff on my website about places we're playing live. I'm trying to get to some of these colleges and see, if I can get some of the venues there that are listening to this stuff. So that's...
I love it. I will put links in the show notes. Heather, so great to meet you. Thank you for your story. Thank you for taking a little time out today. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in LA, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Heather for her time and story. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.